everybody's computer. Everything is transgender, everybody. And people go, hell yeah, dude. That's my bold-ass president right there. I love him. I love him so much. He is so real. He's such a real one, dude. That's awesome. It's so dumb. And now we're going to get to Trump taking questions during a meeting with Polish President Nawrocki at White House.
Questions from the media?
Will American soldiers remain in Poland? Will American soldiers remain in Poland?
Yeah, I think so. I mean...
Oh, there's an update. There's an update. Chelsea Clinton is not running. Chelsea Clinton is not considering a run for Jerry Nadler's House seat, according to a person familiar with her thinking. Yeah, that would have been a disaster in any case.
Do you know something I don't? I don't know. Yeah.
So, wait, to summarize, there's no credible refutations of the article, right? No. The veracity of the reporting holds. There's no retractions or anything like that. It seems like the contracts are, and all the debunking that people have tried to do have basically proven that the contracts that Taylor looked at and that the Wired editorial team looked at and the Wired legal team looked at were legit. So that's it. You hear that APAC man's brother is APAC regional director? No, ADL, okay? Apartheid Defense League, not APAC. Yes. David Pacman's brother worked, I don't know if he still does, but worked for the ADL as the regional director of the ADL.
Very happy. If anything, we'll put more there if they want, but they've long wanted to have a larger presence. We have some countries that have more, not too many, but no, they'll be staying in Poland. We're very much aligned with Poland.
Sir, on Russia and China, you, sir, can we ask about, we saw a dramatic picture where we saw the leaders of Russia and North Korea and China together, the first time the leaders of those three countries have been together in this sort of show of solidarity. You said that they're conspiring against the United States. What do you think they're conspiring to do? And given this, is it reason why you should slap or would consider slapping secondary sanctions on Russia if they're conspiring against the U.S. now?
Well, I've already done that with regard to India, and we're doing it with regard to other things. And I put out a truth last night. You saw that. And I was the one that brought it up. I said, they're only doing this. They're looking to, when they did what they did, I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. I thought it was very, very impressive. But I understood the reason they were doing it, and they were hoping I was watching, and I was watching. My relationship with all of them is very good. We're going to find out.
Yeah, he was jelly beans on the China parade. By the way, he was posting about the China parade on Truth Social. It was really funny.
How good it is.
Nawrocki was literally a hooligan who was beating people in hooligan fights. It's so funny. This man is my president, LeMafiao. He also has a literal Nazi friends, like with swastika tattoos, by the way. I mean, I'm not going to say nothing about Poland.
For the next week or two. I think that we helped China very much, as you know, when they talk about freedom. And I don't believe that, and maybe I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't believe that America, that the United States was acknowledged for helping China to gain its freedom. But perhaps that was just that was a sleight of hand. I mean, I was very surprised. I watched the speech last night. President Xi's a friend of mine, but I thought that the United States should have been mentioned last night during that speech because we helped China very, very much.
What was the reason?
Mr. President, do you think they should have been
Yes, go ahead.
You've expressed many times your frustration and disappointment with Putin, but there's no action since you took your office.
How do you know there's no? How do you know there's no action?
But
really?
Wait.
Who are you with?
I'm with Polish radio.
Okay. How do you know there's no action? Would you say that putting secondary sanctions on India, the largest purchaser outside of China, they're almost equal. Would you say there was no action? That cost hundreds of billions of dollars to Russia. You call that no action? And I haven't done phase 2 yet or phase 3. But when you say there's no action, I think you ought to get yourself a new job. Because if you remember, 2 weeks ago I said, if India buys, India's got big problems, and that's what happened. So don't tell me about that.
Mr. President,
right now, there have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released. And Thomas Massey, who was sponsoring a discharge position to get the House to vote on releasing those documents, says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is...
Oh, God. Oh, God. You're talking about Epstein again. Don't do it. Nobody cares about Epstein. Just the New York financier. New York financier. Who cares? Why do you care? Do you care about finance? You're still talking about him, the Epstein guy? Who cares? Believe it.
Redacting them and slow walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at D.C. right now, D.C., it's a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone. That's a term. It's a term of art. It's a safe zone because it's very safe. You can walk down the street now and nothing's going to happen. No crime, no murders, no nothing. Because we had a lot of problems with certain places, and we still do, all run by Democrats, or for the most part run by Democrats. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the...
Oh, that's what people are doing with the Epstein hoax. He's still going along with the Epstein hoax, by the way. The Democrats are distracting people by talking about the Epstein hoax, as opposed to talking about his big, beautiful actions of illegally using the military as a domestic police force on populous American metropolitan cities. Why won't they talk about this? Why won't they talk about my illegal military occupation? It's so much better. It's so much better. Obama did Epstein.
Tremendous success, like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about because they're going to talk about the Epstein, whatever. Sir, I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands of pages of files. And I know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going. And I think it's enough, because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having.
Brian Griffin is a political science major who works for or worked with Ron DeSantis. He's a white Christian nationalist baby, Lee Atwater. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, he's just LARPing as a Jewish man online. That's what I remember. Anyway, let's continue.
I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from 2 people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
When's going to make a decision on Ukraine, Mr. President?
Mr. President,
I have no message to President Putin. He knows where I stand, and he'll make a decision one way or the other. Whatever his decision is, we'll either be happy about it or unhappy. And if we're unhappy about it, you'll see things happen.
Venezuela, can you give us a sense of what the U.S. policy, or what you're trying to achieve with the aircraft carriers, or the boats, I should say, in near Venezuela, and also the boat that you mentioned yesterday where 11 people were killed? What was found on that boat, and why were the men killed instead of taken into
On the boat, you had massive amounts of drugs. We have tapes of them speaking. It was massive amounts of drugs coming into our country to kill a lot of people. Everybody fully understands that. In fact, you see it. You see the bags of drugs all over the boat. And they were hit. Obviously, they won't be doing it again. And I think a lot of other people won't be doing it again when they watch that tape. They're going to say, let's not do this. We have to protect our country, and we're going to. Venezuela's been a very bad actor. They've been, as you know, they've been sending millions of people into our country, many of them Tren de Aragua, some of the worst gangs, some of the worst people anywhere in the world in terms of gangs. And we had some in Washington, D.C. We took care of them very quickly, but they're out of here. They've gone. But Venezuela's been very bad, both in terms of drugs and sending some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world into our country. They emptied out, you don't know this, but they emptied out their prisons in Venezuela, and they emptied them out into the United States of America. And that's part of the problem we have. We're getting them out. We're getting them out rapidly, but it's caused a tremendous problem. And Pete and all of the people that are working very hard to rectify the stupidity of the Biden administration, allowing these people to pour into our country with open borders. We are paying a big price as a country for the incompetence of the Biden administration. But think of it, opened up prisons, drug dealers, drug lords, everything coming out of Venezuela. They said, and we said, we're not going to put up with it anymore. So Venezuela has been one of the worst actors in the whole group, and we have a group of pretty bad actors.
Are you wanting to?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. At the end of this month, the government or the Congress has to pass a budget. Do you think we can avoid a government shutdown?
Yeah, I do. I think the Republicans will vote for an extension. We won't have any Democrat votes. We could give the greatest budget ever. Tax cut of 50%, everybody taken care of, perfect for women, perfect for men, perfect for minorities, perfect for everything, and we wouldn't get one vote for the Democrats because they've lost their mind. They are so deranged. They have Trump derangement syndrome, and I don't want to burden the Republican Party with it, but they really are. They've become almost sick. They actually think there is a disease. It's called Trump derangement syndrome. They've got it. No matter what we did, no matter how good, you could give them everything that they've ever dreamed of, and you wouldn't get one vote. These are sick people, and I think we're going to have a tremendous midterm. We just approved the largest tax decrease in the history of our country. We have things, if you think of it, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security for our seniors, no tax on overtime, deduction.
The Polish president just sitting there. Come on. I mean, that's a classic. That's a classic. This is what Trump does best, which is have world leaders sit there as he just postures endlessly about Trump derangement syndrome and just goes on and on. It's a part of sitting on the cuck chair. It's a part of the cuck experience. And I mean, he doesn't just do this to Poland. He does this to England. He does this to Germany. He does it to them literally at the same time. Remember, he did this when like Macron, Keir Starmer, like Ursula von der Leyen or Merz, like they were all sitting around the table, and he just made them sit there and just droned on and on and on and on about all of this nonsense. The only time he doesn't really do it as much is when he was with Vladi. I feel like he has more respect for Vladi, so it don't matter. Like, he doesn't do that. He doesn't pull that with Vladi.
When you buy a car and you borrow money to buy a car, first time they've ever seen anything like this, middle-income people get deductions. You get a deduction when you buy a car. Nobody's ever seen. And by the way, they're selling cars like crazy. Cars are pouring back because of the fact that we have tariffs. Cars are pouring back into our car plants are pouring back into our nation. They're coming from all over the world. They're coming back. You know, we lost about 54% of automobile manufacturing over a 30-year period, 35-year period. They're all coming back. I think they're coming back higher than ever before. We have AI going up. What we've done is amazing, and what we've passed is amazing. But the Democrats, I don't believe, will get one vote. It's very anti-crime. We want anti-crime. They're in favor of crime. We're against crime. You know, they gave us things like men playing in women's sports, open borders for everybody, transgender for everybody. I mean, they want to transgender.
This doesn't even make sense as like a sentence, okay? They want to transgender everybody. These guys have devolved so rapidly, especially in the last decade, that they don't even need to communicate using the English language. As long as you are grunting in the direction, the audience responds positively to it. I swear to God, in the next 5 years, if we're still alive, they're just going to go, trans, and then people will understand what the message is. It's like, oh, okay, I'm activated. He said the word, and he grunted. This was a negative grunt. They're trying to transgender for everybody. That makes no sense. What are you saying? It is a clear-cut indication that American political discourse has basically devolved into caveman shit. Everybody's computer, everything is transgender, everybody. And people go, hell yeah, dude, that's my bold-ass president right there. I love him. I love him so much. He is so real. He's such a real one, dude. That's awesome. It's so dumb.
For all of the crazy things that they were saying, and people would say they're 97-3. I always say 97-3, and nobody knows who
I
those
always say it. Nobody knows.
This is the best.
Nobody knows what that means, but I say it anyway. Everybody transgender. Everybody transgender. Everybody knows. When I say it, everybody knows what that means. I like to say 99% to 1%. 99% say nobody transgender. 1% say everybody transgender.
Best issue of all. They are against preventing crime. They are fighting us. I want to go into Chicago, and I have this incompetent governor that doesn't want us. Do you know that this weekend?
Democrats love crime. They want to do more crime. They are criminals. Also, I was convicted, but that's okay. That was a crime in and of itself. Democrats are the criminals. They're crimers. They want crime. They want to legalize crime. Everybody transgender. Think about that. Like, the only reason why we're all aware of what he's trying to fucking say here is because he has so much, I guess, messaging discipline on this issue. He is like the Bernie Sanders of lying about Democrats. Like what Medicare for All is for Bernie Sanders. Like if Bernie Sanders went up on stage and was like, everybody Medicare, everyone would understand what he means, okay? And this is for Trump, it's just like everybody transgender, Democrats want crimes, immigrants are rapists, decapitators, and baby annihilators, and we just got to fucking, we got to put a stop to that. That's it. Everything's computer, everything transgender. Transgender for all, that's what they want.
72 people were shot in Chicago. I'm embarrassed to say it in front of the president of Poland. 11 people were killed. 72 people were shot. Last week, 7 people were killed in Chicago, a place which is probably your number one place. I hate to say it.
Yeah, a lot of Poles in Chicago.
And we got to keep it safe. But 7 people were killed. The week before that, 5 people were killed. And 21 people were shot. This is in 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks, I lost almost 35 people were killed. It could have been stopped. If you look at Washington, D.C., 3 weeks ago, it was the same or worse. And now it's considered a totally safe zone. Restaurants are open. They're bustling. Restaurants, you have to see, restaurants were dying. Nobody wanted to go out. They didn't want to be attacked. They didn't want to be mugged. They didn't want to be attacked even in the restaurant. And you take a look at what's happened. Friends of mine that haven't gone to a restaurant in 4 years, one of them went out 5 times in the last 2 weeks to a restaurant with his family. They feel totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a totally safe city. You're not reporting any crime because there is none. They said crime is down 87%, and I said, no, it's not. It's down 100%. We have a great thing going. I could do that with Chicago. We could do that with New York. We could do it with Los Angeles. So we're making a determination now. Do we go to Chicago or do we go to a place like New Orleans?
Yeah, now he's saying he's sending him to Chicago, by the way. And he also presented, he floated the idea of like invading New Orleans as well, which would be, I guess, the first of its kind for a red state. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to go for Chicago. Any reason he never mentioned San Francisco? I feel like that's the Republicans' favorite city to shit on. I think that's old school. Because remember, San Francisco is now like right wing, kind of, because all the tech billionaires and shit. So it's good now because all the libertarian, like pro gay, fake woke tech billionaires have decided that they love Trump and they're going to defend Trump. So their stomping grounds are no longer presented as a major threat.
Orleans, where we have a great governor, Jeff Landry, who wants us to come in and straighten out a very nice section of this country. That's
also San Francisco is not. I mean, Oakland is, but San Francisco itself is not black enough, I don't think. So that's part of the reason why he doesn't have that same level of smoke. Because like Chicago's a black city, there's a higher percentage population of black people in Chicago, right? Atlanta, Chicago, a lot of places in the South as well. If he were to like send the military there, he would be sending him to like majority, or not even majority, but like higher percentage black population areas.
Become quite, quite tough, quite bad. So we're going to be going to...
That's why he's talking about Baltimore, for example.
Maybe Louisiana, and you have New Orleans, which has a crime problem. We'll straighten that out in about 2 weeks. It'll take us 2 weeks, easier than D.C. But we could straighten out Chicago. All they have to do is ask us to go into Chicago if we don't have the support of some of these politicians. But I'll tell you who is supporting us, the people of Chicago. And I sort of want them to let it be known they have incompetent people. A guy like Gavin Newsom.
It sucks because like everything I said about what he was doing when I was covering the LA protests and like the LA military, the LA military invasion, I said it was as a testing ground that he was going to inevitably send the troops to, like he was basically testing the public appetite for this kind of thing, and the pushback that he was going to receive, and that he was inevitably going to go after other blue cities as well. And it's obvious that he's doing that. Like that's precisely what the goal was. That's it.
He's the governor of a state that if we didn't go into Los Angeles with our soldiers, with our National Guard, you wouldn't even be having the Olympics there. They were going to take it. And remember this, your top law enforcement officer in Los Angeles said, there's no way we could have done this without President Trump coming in.
That's also bullshit. I mean, that's bullshit. Everyone that is like, even people who are a part of like the policing structure in Los Angeles were not happy about armed, lethal military members storming the fucking streets. Even if ultimately it was a show of force, even if ultimately it didn't like amount to anything, and it was a totally unnecessary posture, partially because like domestic police is already heavily militarized anyway, and there was no need for that level of like pushback. No one actually thought that this was great. The mayor was against it. The cops didn't actually appreciate it either. I mean, we were there. A big part of what the police riot control movements were to move the crowds away from the federal buildings where there were federal law enforcement officers propped up on fucking balconies and shit with like less than lethal ordnance that they were deploying onto crowds. Like the cops' entire job there was to move the crowds away to the best of their ability and disperse them on throughout other streets of Los Angeles. The NOLA mentioned as part of their expansion of Angola Plantation as an ICE camp. New Orleans natives remember how the National Guard and cops murdered people in the streets during Katrina. Yeah, that's also another part of obviously America's dark history.
With the troops, we saved Los Angeles and we saved the Olympics. Thank you very much.
No, sir, I got this, sir. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Mr. President, in regards to Gavin Newsom, would you be open to a congressional investigation in regards to the specific Palisades fire where killed 12 seniors to see if there's any negligence on Gavin Newsom or Karen Bass in regards to those deaths?
Well, I'll tell you, there's negligence on not getting people permits. That is negligent. We got all of the federal permits. Lee Zeldin. The federal permits are much more difficult. They were all gotten within 30 days. People could go build their houses. It's going to be years before they are allowed to build their house. And Karen Bass is grossly incompetent. And Newsom, this is a very incompetent guy. I watched him with the hands. I'm saying, what's going on with the hands? There's something wrong with him. Do you watch him? There's something wrong with this guy. But more importantly, he didn't allow the water to come from the Pacific Northwest. You know, they have tremendous amounts of water in California. People don't know. They send the water out to the Pacific Ocean. So I demanded it be open. If that were open during the fire, before the fire, you wouldn't have had the fire because all the sprinklers would have worked in the houses. They had no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants. You wouldn't have had the fires. It would have been put out after one house, two houses. But he stopped the water from coming in. And I had to send in the military to have that water opened after the fires. And now they have water, but he should have more because they've restricted, they still restricted. There's something wrong with these people. There's something really wrong. As to investigation, I view it as a gross incompetence. I view it as an ideology that's wrong. It's a radical left ideology. And if I didn't win this election, I think our country would be destroyed. I don't believe you'd be here right now, and our country would be destroyed. Yeah.
Mr.
Go ahead.
President Trump, thank you, sir. What's the most important branches of interest between Poland and U.S. in your opinion?
Well, it's just the relationship we have. I think there's a great trust and a great, more than most countries, more than almost any countries. We have some in a category that's very special, and Poland is in that category. We have a very special relationship. It's like the question about the soldiers that was asked. We never even thought in terms of removing soldiers from Poland. We do think about it with regard to other countries, but we would never know. We're with Poland all the way, and we will help Poland protect itself.
Awesome. It's just, I'm beginning to notice a pattern here where it's like every problem requires sending the military. Poland exists, send in the military. We need to use the military. The military is a necessity. Is there crime happening? It's time for the military. Open presents. Thank you for the 25 gifted subs. Time to send the military to open presents.
I would like to add something. Yeah, of course, security is most important also for our relation.
I mean, it's giving declining empire for sure. Okay, when your only active industry is around the military-industrial complex, and your only large organizational, like the largest fucking labor force that you have is just a bunch of fucking dudes with guns, the military. Outside of, like, I don't know, Walmart distribution facilities and Amazon distribution facilities, then yeah, you're going to keep using that. You're going to keep using that for everything. Keep using the military. It's the best. We have it. Time to invade. We got a military waiting. Would be a real shame if we don't use it. This motherfucker, bro, he's like, oh, we got real issues with housing. Send in the military. Bomb the houses and rebuild them.
And I'm a historian, as you know, maybe, Mr. President. Sure. I'm a historian, and this is the first time in Polish history, in 20th century and the 21st century, that the Poles are happy that we have foreign soldiers in Poland. So the American soldiers are the part of our society nowadays. We have almost 10,000 soldiers, and this is the signal to the whole world and also to the Russian Federation that we are together. But we are not like the Poland free riders in Europe and in NATO. Mr. President Trump knows it, because our GDP for military service achieved 4.7. So we are probably the one NATO nation which is on this level, and we will not stop. Me, as the president of Poland, we are going to achieve 5% of GDP for military service, but with American soldiers on Polish soil, we solidify and we are secure.
Just about that, you know, Poland was one of two nations that paid more than they were supposed to with NATO. I don't know if anyone knows that, but there were two nations, and Poland paid more than they were supposed to. They thought it was low. And by the way, since then, at my request, they've raised it from 2% to 5%. But Poland was one of two nations that paid more than they were supposed to, which was a very nice thing. Yeah.
You were upset that you were not invited to the parade in Beijing.
Never even thought about it until just now.
I do want to mention another I told you so moment. One of the things that I actually consistently brought up over and over again was that a lot of young people that took a shot in the dark at Donald Trump because they were too young to remember what it was like when he was president, where he made a lot of gains from like Gen Z voters, would very quickly realize that he sucks ass. And I told you this ahead of time. I literally said, like, all these people that fucking voted for him, especially young people that he was actively trying to get support from, because it was one of the one of the only remaining avenues where people just like didn't have a fully fleshed out opinion of Trump, especially like a negative one. They were inevitably going to swing back around and go, this guy sucks. And the same goes for a lot of like independents, a lot of people in the margins. This is what happened in Trump 1 as well, right? People vote for the guy because they think he's going to break the systems. And he's also like, he's also consistently talking about things that other politicians simply don't talk about, like moneyed interests and things like that. And then you vote for him, and then you realize he's just as fucking transparently corrupt as anybody else. I guess the only difference is he's transparent in his corruption, as opposed to like other groups or other politicians that aren't as transparent. But he's also a bumbling old fool who's not improving people's lives at all. And they would inevitably turn around and go, yeah, this shit sucks. And here we are. Trump's dropped approval among 18 to 29-year-olds have gone up to a 66% disapproval, shot up 29%. His job approval among 18 to 29-year-olds is at 30%. That's minus 12. This is always the same shit. Remember, I talked to you about trans issues, for example. I told you, there is going to be a point where people go, wait a minute, he's dunking on trans people, but that's not actually improving my life. What the fuck? That's it. All of these issues are simple distractions. They're very successful at they're very successful at making people pay attention. They're very successful at like shifting people's priorities away from the issues that actually matter. But when you actually become the president, it's not just about, please don't read statistics if you aren't going to say the thing. What? The polls are a lie. They're lying. The young people love me. Is that what you're saying? Oh, holy Toledo. Trump's job approval among 18 to 29-year-olds is down, down, down. Last time this was checked is in 225. February 2nd, 225. Is that good? That's what you were saying. You wanted me to say, holy Toledo. I am the 30%. Ask me anything. Let's fucking go MAGA. I am the 30%. Suck my dick. Okay. Okay, dude. Why can't conservatives accept the L? Real events. Shooting in Oklahoma hospital. Multiple cops shot in Charlotte. Pray for Charlotte. Multiple cops shot. I don't think you are actually a Trump supporter. Hong Kong matters. Fuck China. Dem house control. Wait, maybe the liberals who then turned into a MAGA guy. Or maybe he's just memeing. I feel like he's just memeing. Maybe he is. Chatter, are you a former liberal turned? You are spot on. I was Dem. Oh, shit. No, this is great. Okay, following since 2020, November 3rd. Okay, obviously followed in the last election. Was a liberal. The election prior to this last one. Was a liberal, but was like a pro-NatSec, pro-NATO, anti-America's foreign adversary style liberal. And I guess like if I am to look at what radicalized them, I would suspect that it was maybe in like the 2021 era, post 2021, like we found a shiny. No, I don't think this is a shiny. I think this is like, and it's not head trauma either. No. I think this guy became pro-Trump after BLM protests and stuff like that, because he's talking about like multiple cops being shot in Charlotte. So if I were to clock him, I would say that it was like, I joined the military in 2018. Okay, that could be part of that. That could be part of it. But I think this is a COVID radicalization. Hard crime lib, the Anna Kasparian route. It could be hard crime, crime panic liberal that turned reactionary, turned into a Republican. It could be the type of motherfucker that like was a COVID guy. Could be a COVID guy as well. Like Democrats went heavy-handed with COVID policies that turned me into a fucking Republican. Or it could be that he like started watching other liberal content creators, moved away, wanted to vote Biden 2020, but never got a mail-in ballot at my duty station. Maybe watched like some sex pestiny on his journey and eventually became more and more reactionary, potentially. I don't know. Because that's usually Kamala never won a primary, so that ruined democracy for me. That's funny. Yeah, he got scratched. Scratch a liberal and a fascist bleeds. That's what happened. Who did he want in the 2020 primary? He says he was Biden. Was he a trash can lib who got brain broken? I mean, I can totally see people that move away. Love you though, man. Keep up the content. I would go so far as to say guys like this They think that people like myself are like nefarious actors. Maybe not him. He doesn't think that, or at least he still thinks that this is like entertaining enough. But guys like this, I think, usually they get de-radicalized by the likes of people who are constantly saying like the radical left is too radical, but liberal style. And then that actually swings them back in the direction of, I mean, they're just like easily manipulated. But that usually swings them back in the direction of Trump eventually. Most just think you're dumb, to be honest. Why is it funny? Most just think you're dumb, to be honest, or ask him moron. Like this guy. This guy, 1,000% in a couple years is also going to be firmly a right-winger, right? This is the exact type of guy I'm talking about. Guys that come in here, they watch for a little bit, or they watch sex pestiny, molestiny. They maybe move on to like Asmongold, right? And then slowly but surely, without realizing, because all of their political worldview is developed by like listening to content creators. Yeah, too late, dummy. There you go. That's what happens usually. They just they go from like centrist positions eventually into the right-wing positions. I don't understand hate watchers. What's the point, please? No, I love guys like this. I love guys that are who are at 2025 when we're fucking talking 8 months into the Trump presidency, 9 months into the Trump presidency, guys who are like, nah, I still ride with Trump pretty hard, as we're looking at fucking polls that show a lot of people have extreme discontent with the administration for obvious reasons. That is 100% my favorite type of guy in the chat. I value that type of person. I love my hogs, okay? I love my hogs. It's not a secret. I want to know what flavor of Kool-Aid they drank, how they arrived at those positions. It's an important part of like de-radicalizing people like this. You know, I'm here, Law. I agree with some of what you say. Okay, explain to me what you agree with and what you disagree with. I'd peg you as a sociopath, to be honest. I'd attribute it to a desire for power. You running for office. Ironic, because I've always said no to that. You are doing the same. Transpons narrative to a different premise. If you read The Decline of Trump Approval, just show which policies are causing it, not just fish. One of them, all of which fits your narrative. It's not one of them. It's all of them. Your political infrastructure in this country revolves around refusing to address the major issues that pertain to people's material conditions, the cost of living, rent, which requires you to tackle the housing market. This is a very moneyed interest a project that needs to maintain this finite supply of housing. A lot of people with money, a lot of people with capital want to make sure that the housing market stays as fucked as it is, which creates a lot of fucking homeless people, for example. And when you see that homelessness, when you see the homeless population, you go, oh, there's crime that's everywhere. Poverty is everywhere. Crime is everywhere. And then you want more militant responses. Trump is filling that need very well. But in that process, there's a lot of people that go, I voted for Donald Trump because I thought he was going to fucking make things more affordable. Things are less affordable than they ever were. And the only thing that's happened so far is that they're just like sending the fucking military. Trump said he was going to tackle the issue of migrant crime. It turns out the migrant crime panic was completely fucking made up hysteria. We got that inequity is the main issue, but why not focus on that? What do you mean? I am focusing on that. Anyway, the other chatter is just a chirper. He's stupid. So your goal is to build a pretty much disagree everything but Israel? Wait, but you went from F Hamas to pretty much disagree with everything but Israel. So your goal is to build a populist left, correct? I mean, yeah. That's strange. He's one of those realignment right-wingers who agrees with the left on economic policy. Actually curious because I've heard you say plenty since following that you'll never run for office. You say we need legitimate, honest, and principled politicians, and you have a not insignificant following. Like, what's stopping you? I think you need to be cut from a different cloth to be able to fucking run for office and actually be a politician. And I am not cut from that cloth at all. This is what I'm good at. I'm a good propagandist. I'm not a good administrator. I think one thing I heard you say that cuts through all the crime hysteria bullshit is that what people are really complaining about is visible poverty, aggressive panhandling, and dirty, poorly maintained streets. It's not about the actual stats. Yeah, exactly. Homelessness is one of the most visible aspects of poverty, and poverty translates to people thinking that there is major crime happening. A lot worse crimes that you fantasize about happening all around the country. So when you see homeless people in the streets, and when you see like other visible aspects of poverty, like, locking up deodorant at CVS, you go, crime is completely out of fucking control. That's it. But yeah, I don't know what this guy is saying, but the other guy, let's see, what was his radicalization journey? I want to know. I wanted Bernie 2016 attended a rally in National City. Appreciate the love, Hasan. Just wanted the U.S. to truly be united. Keep up the content, my man. I love guys like this. The guys who are like, I really love Bernie, so I voted for the diametrical opposite of Bernie Sanders, with the exception of, like, I guess, presenting himself as a fighter against the established Republican Party. Because the only thing you can point to with respect to like Bernie versus Trump is that Bernie is seen as an outsider to his own party. He's an independent. And Trump presented himself as an outsider and in some respects was an outsider to the Republican Party. But he very quickly whipped the rest of the Republican Party to his own design, to his own desires. And also, a lot of what Trump does is basically just a maximalist position that you would logically arrive at with years and years of reactionary propaganda. So Donald Trump is not different than the average Republican in many respects. But it's just funny because, like, this is, guys, I would bracket this off as like the third category. If politics are team sports for many Americans because of their inability to recognize that policies are what matter and not the politicians or the team that you're voting for, the third category is the independent guy, the anti-establishment guy. Obviously, the first category is vote blue no matter who, and then the second category is the vote red no matter dead, the Republicans. But then the third category is the outsiders, the people that fancy themselves to be anti-establishment. Okay, these are the three major reasons as to why people actually vote for people. This is a real issue. That's precisely the reason why when Republicans, or not Republicans necessarily, but when Democrats actually don't present a real robust response to growing fascism, or when Democrats, when they're in charge, don't actually follow through on their agenda items and are constantly fucking hit with like legislative setbacks that they're seemingly unable to overcome, a lot of people still go, shut the fuck up. They're still better than the Republicans. Or when they come around to Republican positions and reactionary framing on issues such as immigration, the notion that immigrants actually constitute a national security threat, for example, in the way that like Kamala Harris presented it in this last election cycle, Democrats go, you got to vote for the Democrats, shut the fuck up. Those are the vote blue no matter who guys. They don't believe in the policies. They don't believe in any sort of like discernible ideology. There are Pew Center research. There is a consistent Pew research on the matter. 20% of Americans vote on ideological grounds, which are, I guess, the closest that you could point to in terms of like an association with tangible policy goals. And 80% on both sides actually vote for partisan reasons. They vote for a party because their parents did. They vote for a party because they've always voted for said party. Okay? And the reality of the matter is these independent guys also are the same. Because if someone were to actually like Bernie Sanders for his policies, right? Medicare for all, free college for all, and not simply the aesthetic of like being anti-establishment, they would never actually flip from Bernie Sanders to Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump obviously is antagonistic to the major reasons why people are supposed to like Bernie Sanders. That's it. That's why a lot of these guys go from like, oh, I voted for Bernie or I wanted Bernie Sanders, but now I actually like Donald Trump. That to me means that you are in the third category of partisanship, which is to remain nonpartisan, to remain anti-establishment. That's the only thing that binds Bernie Sanders in some way to Donald Trump. Does that make sense? For me, there's a reason why Bernie got way more Republican crossover voters than any moderate lib ever dreamed of getting. These aren't left apolitical or once ex-conservatives who saw a different option than the status quo. Yeah, it's vibes-based for the most part. But once again, I don't have an issue with vibes-based voting. I mean, I wish that it wasn't vibes-based. What I have an issue with is non-policy-driven voting, okay? If I were to explain my main role here, it's to try to get every single person that tunes in to actually care about the policy agenda, to actually care about holding politicians to account regardless of party affiliation. Okay? That's it. And unfortunately, given, and not to get too Marxist here, but given the reality that we have a bourgeois capitalist democratic process that is supposed to have a bipartisan attitude on major issues that pertain to you know, some of the most consequential aspects of your life, like privatized medicine, privatized healthcare, an incredibly costly college education that is getting increasingly more costly, endless military, endless warfare around the globe, endless fucking money to the military. These are things that like neither major party actually disagree on. It's established as the truth. It's established as this like reality because those are the things that like the average person actually worries about and actually cares about. And yet there is an established consensus there. American politics turns into team sports. So the people that are super tuned into this stuff do not care about the policies at all, do not care about like holding politicians to account when they refuse to push for these policies that they promised that they would actually push for when they are in charge. That's my goal. I don't give a fuck who's advocating for what. I care about the actual policies, okay? I don't care about the letter next to their name. Of course, I have a lot of smoke for the Republican Party because the policies that they supposedly care about are also genuinely harmful. And at best are simple distractions, okay? But the reason why I have a lot of smoke for the Democrats are also because they don't follow through on any of the agenda that they claim to care about, any of the issues that they claim to care about, okay? That's it. We got to hold these motherfuckers accountable. Anyway, do I regret playing Among Us with AOC? No, fuck no. Why would I? No, of course not. I think a lot of people don't understand that I use the Democratic Party because it's the only game in town that is supposed to be the ostensible left flank of American politics. Because I'm a firm and committed believer that a lot of people who are self-identified liberals are not as anti-policies that I'm advocating for. The goal is to capture their attention and get them to also be diehard fighters for these causes. Okay? You might disagree with that. You might say it's entryism, it's stupid, it's silly. You're just an advocate for the same imperial coin. And that's fine, okay? But I don't see you building a revolutionary vanguard anytime soon. And if you look to the actual current cultural attitudes towards the left, if you look to the current attitude towards socialism in this country, we are a far way out from building any sort of revolutionary vanguard anyway. So right now, advocacy is perhaps more important than anything else. Having prominent left politicians run for positions of power and show that there's an alternative vision there that will hopefully capture the attention of enough Democrat Party voters that demand more of the same type of fucking policies and the same type of politics that you see from the likes of Zohran Mamdani is the best possible way to even bring about maybe down the line a revolutionary vanguard if that's what you choose to do so. Same goes for unions. Okay? You should just pivot to classic liberalism and have some hope for getting a W one day. And all of that is where it comes crashing down. We ain't going to vote for socialism, Bubba. You should pivot to classic liberalism. Brother, don't you understand that this is my genuinely held worldview? Also, there is not a single fucking person that you could present that is a classical liberal that has the same level of fucking prominence in this sphere as someone like myself. So I don't know what you're talking about in terms of like an organically built movement around uncompromisingly pushing for these fucking pushing for these policies. Okay. And not only that, but I already showed you one of these W's with Zohran Mamdani. People despise liberals. They just hate it. I know your views. You're pretty clear. Socialists just need to appeal to incels, and it's easy. Outline how it will get easier to get pussy under socialism, and there will be a revolution within 1 year. Yeah, I don't think so. But good one. Hasan isn't a great guy, just saying. Thanks, John Smith, 3362. You're really going to make an impact in this community. Any day now. No problem, my man. I got you. Any day now, you're gonna convert some of these guys into also building their entire worldview around simply being antagonistic to whatever fucking position I hold. Like, that's not real politics. You know what I mean? That's just like you're listening to a fucking dumbass. If their entire political output, an entire commentary output revolves around like whatever fucking drama that their favorite content creator got into, then they're not serious people. They have no interest, you know? Anyway, I forgot where we were, but yeah, Trump is unpopular, and I told you this was going to happen. And I told you this was going to happen with the youth as well, with the youth vote especially, and it swung dramatically. Yeah, let's continue.
President Kabelski, what's your message for President?
Never even thought it wouldn't have been my place to be there.
Can we ask you on tariffs?
Will you visit a restaurant in D.C.? You haven't gone to.
I might, sure.
You haven't gone to one in either of your terms that wasn't.
How do you know? How do you know?
Because I and many other.
Do you want me to prove you wrong? Do you want me to prove you wrong?
Yes, please.
But I will. I think it's something we could consider doing. I'd love to do it. I love the White House food, but after a while, I could see going to a nice restaurant. It's safe. If you would have said, like the Governor Moore wanted me to go and walk through Baltimore with him, and I said, you know, I think I'm a brave guy, but there's no reason to be stupid. They have crime that's at levels that nobody's ever seen before in Baltimore. They've done a terrible job. We'd go into Baltimore, straighten it out very quickly, too. You know why? They respect our soldiers. You see our soldiers. They respect our soldiers. We'd go there, too. But we're going to have people asking us to go. They're going to want to, and I think the people of those places the politicians are not in tune with the people. The people in Chicago, the people in Baltimore, the people in all of the places we talk about, they want to see us there. And I think we're pretty much waiting till we get asked and properly. Because we're doing them a big service. Yeah, please.
You talked about how historic these tariffs have been, bringing in revenue, additional revenue for our country. You've also mentioned before they could possibly replace federal income tax.
Possible.
Do you think that's...
Someday it's possible. It used to be. So if you go back to 1913 is when they ended tariffs. We were the richest ever from 1850. It was all tariffs. We didn't have income taxes. From 1850 to 1913. In the 1887s, about 1887.
It's good comparable state of international trade and commerce, I think. You know, that's definitely a similar trade environment. That's what I like to think of when I think of like, well, this worked in 1837 or 1887. Why can't it work now? That's great. This is even dumber than fucking people doing we got to go back to the gold standard shit, okay?
Had the Great National Tariff Act. And it was a group of people that got together because our country was so rich, they didn't know what to do with the money. We had so much money, they didn't know what to do. It was a group of very prominent people that were set up to hand out money to everybody because we were the richest we ever were. Proportionately, we were in 1887, around that time, even in 1913. We ended them in 1913. How did that work out? And then we went to the income. We had the Depression. And by the way, a lot of people try and say that, oh, tariffs with the Depression. No, they ended in 1913, and then we went to income tax, and then in 1929 you had the Depression. They did try and bring it back in 1931-32, but the Depression had long started, and this poor, beautiful nation was gone. It was gone. We suffered for 25 years. It took 25, 30 years to really recover from the Depression. And we don't ever want to see that happen again. The tariffs are vital to the success of this country. When I say I ended 7 wars, at least half of those wars were ended because of the power of tariffs. I was able to say, well, we're not doing any business with you, or if you're going to war, we're putting a big tariff on you. And all of a sudden they announced that the war was settled. I settled 7 different wars, one going 31 years, look at the Congo and Rwanda, look at that. 31 years, 10 million people dead. I got it settled. And a little bit of that one, less than in some cases, had to do with trade and had to do with tariffs. So, you know, tariffs are vital to our country. And just so you know, other countries use them on us, but I just used them a lot better. We're in a much better position. We have trillions of dollars coming into our country. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be a very poor nation, and we would be taken advantage of by every other nation in the world, friend and foe. We're not going to let that happen. And we have a very, very big case in the Supreme Court. I can only say this: our country has a chance to be unbelievably rich again, but it can also be unbelievably poor again. If we don't win that case, our country is going to suffer so greatly.
What's the backup plan, sir?
But I think we're going to have a big victory. Even if you look at the people that brought the case, they're foreign-oriented. They're foreign. Countries have taken advantage of the United States for so many years. And I started with China. You know, last term, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from China. But when COVID came, the last thing I was going to do is we're going to tariff France and Italy.
There's a non-zero number right when you're sitting at home watching him speak, rubbing their chin as they ponder the profundity of Trump's statements. I mean, they also think he's hot. Like that in and of itself is, I think, the clearest indication of someone's mania. Like, there are people who look at Donald Trump and think he's like a sexy guy. I always like to point to that to show you like how insane these lunatics are. Because like, if you look at something that is right in front of your eyes and you don't see what other people are seeing, what everyone is seeing, and you just see something entirely different, like, you're a crazy person. You're a lunatic. My dad describes Trump as handsome and elegant. Oh my God. I'm sorry, man. When I saw those ladies wearing like Trump can grab my pussy t-shirts, I was like, this is over. This is not a normal movement. I mean, people think RFK is healthy. These guys are just responding to stimuli. They're not responding to what they can see. They are already on board with the don't believe your lying eyes shit, okay?
And, you know, others, Spain, when they were doing so badly. But now we made a deal with the European Union where they're paying us almost $1 trillion, and they're happy to do it. You know what? They're happy. It's done. These deals are all done. I guess we'd have to unwind them. We've done deals with Japan, with South Korea. We've done deals with many countries and others to come. The power, prestige, and dignity of tariffs. And I used them wisely. And people respect America again. And we've become a rich country again. The money coming in is incredible. And again, they use them on us. If we didn't have them, they would use them on us, and we would have no way to fight them. We would be a third world nation. So I think it's one of the most important cases I've ever seen go before the Supreme Court of the U.S.
So you gave Vladimir Putin a 2-week deadline to agree to talks with Volodymyr Zelensky. That deadline is now nearly approached. Can you give us any indication when you will make it?
Well, I'm having a conversation with him very shortly, and I'll know pretty much what we're going to be doing. We've taken very strong action, as you know. And in other ways, we've taken very strong action. But I'll be speaking to him over the next few days, and we're going to see.
With who,
sir? I'm going to know exactly what's happening.
Mr. President,
but I'm not happy with all the people. You got 7,819 people killed last week. Russian soldiers and...
This number changes. Wait, why does he try to do like the exact number every time? Because yesterday he said 7,894. Now he's saying 7,819. It's just, we've totally moved beyond like assuming that a position like the bully pulpit is supposed to is supposed to require a level of like decency, and a guy like the fucking president is not supposed to just like make numbers up. And it's awesome that you could just say whatever the fuck you want. There is very little that Trump says that is real. Okay. As a matter of fact, the only time where he's like actually being honest and transparent is whenever he talks about like unlimited cruelty that America is going to bring about the rest of the world, where he'll be like when people will be like, oh, why are you giving weapons to Saudi Arabia? He goes, well, do you have $1 billion? They'll buy it from Russia. If they don't buy it from us, someone's got to buy these weapons. Like, that's the only time where he's like transparent or honest. He's only honest when he is talking about his dishonesty. But every other thing is just either lies, or now the new meta is just simply shouting out not even a talking point, but shouting out a word, one word. Everybody transgender. Everybody understands what that means now. They make up their own minds as to what this is supposed to mean.
Ukraine soldiers, right? Not American soldiers, but they're human beings, they're souls. They have parents, they wave goodbye to their parents, and their parents never see them again. That's the end of them. over a stupid war, and I want to see it stopped. Now, we have stopped the money. We send weapons to NATO. They pay full price.
NATO.
We don't, Biden spent $350 billion so stupidly. And it was one of the reasons that this whole thing happened. A big reason this war happened was sitting right in these chairs, this one in particular. So I will tell you that I think we're going to have
thank you for the 5 gifted.
A good solution. But they're losing soldiers at levels that nobody has seen since the Second World War. This is the worst conflict, and it's just going on and on. It's one's defense, one's offense. The offense moves a little bit, just a little bit. You take a look. They move inches. They're dropping bombs and killing everybody. The whole thing is not since the Second World War has there been anything even close to this. And they're not soldiers from my country. This is my country. But I have a power to end things. That's why I was able to end 7 other wars. And you know that I thought of the 7. They're basically 7. Those were tough wars to end.
Like this. This is what I mean. When I say he just like makes shit up, this is a perfect example. Sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's basically 7. And it's like, he didn't do any of that. He's just making it up. Like either these conflicts came to a halt because of the two belligerents, okay? Or he's just lying. And especially when he says like, sometimes he said 10 last week, then you know he's lying. That's not even real. He just made up a number. And the only reason why he's saying that is because he can't actually fucking end the 2 conflicts that he said he was going to end day 1. Russia's invasion of Ukraine and Israel's genocide of the Palestinian population in Gaza. He said he was going to end them day 1, and he couldn't, even though he has all the power to do so with especially Israel, and he just doesn't have the ambition, not even interested, okay? And with Russia, he couldn't do it. He genuinely thought Vladimir Putin respects him enough that he would like back away or offer him like this gift of no more military incursion in Ukraine. He was a fucking moron. And it didn't happen. So he has to make shit up to be like, I've ended 7 wars.
Much tougher, I thought, than... I thought that Ukraine and Russia have a very good relationship with President Putin. I thought that would be much easier. I thought that would be in the middle of the pack, maybe one of the easiest. Sometimes you never know with war. You know, war is a very interesting thing. You never know with war. War is complex and dangerous, and what a mess. What a bloody mess.
August 25th.
Good job. You stopping a lot of wars? Just the presidents we're stopping them. We've stopped 7 wars, and really the number is actually 10. We're not including a couple, and we're not including in there what we did with Iran, stopping their nuclear play. They would have had within a month or 2, they would have had a nice big nuclear weapon to use. That's not going to happen. That won't happen.
I mean, what do we say to this? Like, what can you say to this? And it's sad because sometimes people misunderstand me when I talk about like certain content creators and their popularity, which we found is not even so organic as we previously thought. I'm not going to name any names. It's not that like there's envy or jealousy there that another content creator is more popular than me. There are a million content creators that are more popular than me. It's the fact that there are people tuning in